emphasizing how we saw Chris Moore taking kick return reps, and that might be some value this weekend.
Why not?
And what was cool, what was funny, when he pushed Terry out of the lineup and went in the red zone, I'm first, motherfucker. That was a direct quote.
Look, if they use him as a kick returner, I'd be like, hey, maybe that does work because I know Les Mills doesn't.
You can put the other thing out there.
Oh, the Terry part?
Yeah,
You pushed him out of the way from the first team and said, I'm taking over. I've been here all year, motherfucker. Where were you?
Yeah.
That's a fair point.
And then he called him holdout boy too.
Yeah, yeah. He said when it was fucking hot, you were in the fucking cold time inside.
all that's to do.
Yeah, no.
It's quite the moment.
Just attributed to sources close to it.
Was that? That would be wild.
Or Tunsil Wagner there.
Wagner was Nazi Tunsil. I would not ask for my advice because I only have 4 wins this season.
it's hard to.
Just turn it on. Sometimes when you turn it on, power on, it takes a few minutes.
All right, what's happening, everybody? All right. Thought we'd get rocking on our traditional Friday start, and I thought what a competitor's arena it's going to be on Saturday night. So captain-wise, these three truly represent that. So offensively, Terry McLaurin, and just playmaking and ops to go lead us in lots of ways. That's a big deal. Defensively, Jeremy Reeves. And there's going to be a hitting game. There's going to be one that's relentless and finishing and all of those. And Jeremy certainly represents that. And then on the special teams and the overall team side, Antonio Hamilton. And, for him, the type of energy and attitude that he brings, like I said, that was at the top of my mind, a competitor's kind of night. And those three are that. So I'll get rocking with you guys.
Laramie Tunsil's update status?
Yep. So Laramie has a strained oblique, and he will be out. Tried to go at practice yesterday, and just not there yet. So we'll hopefully get him back for the following game, but not for this one.
So a couple of things with him. First, how Brandon did in his absence, but also the run games continue to kind of develop again. Can you still find that identity you've been looking for, even with this little time remaining? Do you feel like you're finally starting to get that?
Yeah, I think it's really important, John. And the identity piece, you're right, and that's what these 3 weeks are to me, and why like having 3 division games like so important for us to recapture that north, the physicality, the taking care of the ball. That's continued to haunt us, and so the ability to create takeaways. So those things are super important. Laramie's been a big part of everything: run game, pass protection, and so his ability to displace people from the line, down on double teams, and Brandon, I thought really he had been ready, he was ready, he looked ready, and performed that way.
You had indicated earlier in the season that you wanted to see Brandon kind of take that next step.
Yep.
What did he show over these, however many weeks to do that?
Yeah, and that's the one spot we haven't been banged up on in that space. And so obviously disappointed when, Chris stepped in and stayed into that space. But then I also saw a guy working guard and tackle. He's been our jumbo, so there's some things like, hey, let's get him back in the fight, get him back into it. I saw good practice habits, number one. So I wasn't surprised, Nikki, that he performed well, because this wasn't a guy that, put his head down and sulked about it. He said, okay, I'm going to go to work and get to it. So it's not always smooth, but I thought that showed a lot about his resilience to say, okay, these are not the circumstances that I want, but I'm going to go battle for it. And when called, or if called, like, he would show and demonstrate that he was ready. And some people bullshit themselves and say they won't, or say they'll be ready, but like, you have to put the work in to do that. And I've certainly seen that from BC.
Just a quick Jaden question. Did Laramie's injury or his situation factor at all into the decision to keep Jaden out, just knowing he may or may not have? Okay.
No. You talked about on defense wanting to see a lot more pass rush. Could you talk about the Giants front and then your front offensively?
Yeah. So it's such an important part of, like, sometimes, Don, it's not the sack, but it's the pressure. And can you move a quarterback where, he has to get off the first read and get into the next spot? And so that's often what I look for first. So often in pass rush, can I beat somebody to the punch? The speed, the disruption to go. Sometimes that's from blitz, where you can overload a side or a running back with the right matchup. But if it's a 4-man, you got to go win. And you got to jump off the ball and beat somebody to the spot, even if you're not sacking them. And I think maybe the clearest example of that, at the end of the first half, Vaughn had a good pressure. He wasn't able to sack Dart on the play. He got him on the next one, but the scramble was an incomplete, which led to, so those are the plays that I look for as well. They don't show up as much on the stat sheet or you talk about, but they're super important. And then with Philly, the line, they've got a good line. And Hurts can also use his legs to get outside the pocket to do things. So it'll be important for us when to go take our shot, when not to. The run game's super important, obviously, anytime you play against them. And that has to be at the top. And then when we get our chances, can you move the quarterback, hit him, and see if you can find some disruption that way. But it's one of those ones where you got to pick your shots for sure.
Hey, Coach. And so speaking of the pass rush, Drake Jackson has been full practice so far this week. Is there any update on him?
Yes. Yeah, Drake had a good week. Kind of got started last week, the individual piece. We were ramping up, hopefully, to look at this game as one for him to go. And, yeah, he'll be able to play.
And then Von Miller, you just mentioned Von Miller. What have you seen from him in this last couple stretch here?
Yeah, I liked that sequencing behind the sack. I mean, that'd probably be the thing to write about, but it was interesting. It was almost like a 3-play sequence. I call that like wreaking havoc. So he had a pressure, and then the next one he had a sack, and then the next one there was a false start. And so that's what I'm looking for to see. Can I affect somebody? Okay, the first one he got a pressure. The second one he got a sack. Now there's some mental pressure that's going on with it as well. So I thought that probably clearly illustrated the impact best can be in that spot. And so we'll need some more of that for sure. And like I said, Philly's good offensive line. But one thing about Vaughn, like, he knows his angles, how he's going to work his hands. He's got a real game plan to how to rush. And I know he's up for that challenge for sure.
Dan, when you look at Bill and Chris back there in the backfield, not necessarily the combination that everybody thought would be leading the way along with Jeremy months ago, but when you look to what they can maybe be as a combination going forward, what did that kind of look like for you?
Yeah. And I'm excited to see the continued development of Bill. There's probably a few guys offensively. It's Ben and Bill and some others that maybe Trey's not a rookie, but he's, a younger player, but he's gaining it. But I like the combination of the two. They're different in size, Ben, but both of them have an aggressive style. And so they can break tackles, they can run through tackles. And so I think different running backs, man, this guy can get on the edge. He's got the speed to go, and you can be worried about that. But in between the tackles, for a guy who can gain yards after contact, I think they have it. They just do it a little bit differently. Chris runs a little lower naturally, but I think the ability to cut by Bill is some of the things that we've all seen together. And so take what's there against a team like this. They don't give up a lot of big plays, talking about Philadelphia. So in the running game and the passing game, you have to be able to move the chains by taking what's there. It's not a team, hey, I'm going to try to cut out the back door and go get it. The linebackers are disciplined. The D-line's good. So it's going to be taking what's there, and if they can get to the next level, can I get a big play? But that's what I'm looking for in this game from them. But I like the combination. It'll be good to have Chris back for sure.
And at quarterback, obviously with Jaden out, changes the depth chart. Is there a world where Sam Hartman gets active, even to be a backup, or maybe even plays somewhere here down the stretch?
Not at this moment where we're at. And so he's, like I said, reps change, where he's, getting some more, through the scout team. But he's done that pretty much through the year. So, but no, that's, like I said, we're leaning in on Marcus.
Bobby is getting pretty close to 2,000 career tackles, which is a pretty rare feat for a linebacker. Obviously, you've known him a long time. What's the biggest area that you've seen him grow since your first stint with him in Seattle to now, and what do you think makes him such a prolific tackler?
Yeah, I would say the growth has probably been as much off the field. Like if you would follow us around the building, you might see him eating lunch with somebody on offense or that, and he's willing to like share this wisdom with the others. And so I think that's a really cool thing. Like the development of Jordan and Kane and Ale, it has a lot to do with him because of standards and approach and ways to go. And so like constantly trying to level up, you can imagine how like that just multiplies others. And but the tackling part alone, he's got great like spatial awareness and what I would call like tracking. And so when the runner's going outside to a different direction, oftentimes you'll see somebody take an angle that is too deep and the runner could cut him back. But his ability to track to a side, stay down, stay low, he's got great length. Like you've always felt that in his tackling, but it's so secure in that. Like he brings his feet. But it is definitely the most elite part of his game, and like he's the 1%er as a tackler, and yeah, it's remarkable to see.
I know it's partly out of necessity due to injuries, but Mike Sainristil has been playing outside for a few weeks now. Do you feel like that's sort of the future for him, is settling back into that spot compared to Nickelback? Right,
it's a good question, one that we're definitely going to have discussions about as we get into the off season. Obviously, like for the rest of this season, that's where it is. But yeah, I want to get his input. I want to look at it both. And we went through this last year in a way, we did it way earlier, and maybe like the third game or something in that space. So it's definitely something that we've discussed. We haven't discussed it really with Mike yet as opposed to that, but it's definitely something to discuss for sure. And the nice part right now, the corners, all of them have inside and outside experience. Jonathan does, Noah does, Mike does. So there could even be some times where you move guys around if you wanted to, but it's definitely a topic for discussion postseason.
All right. Thanks, Coach. Appreciate it.
All right. You want one more? Go ahead, John. Yeah, we're giving you one more. Happy holidays.
I didn't even do it this
I know. I appreciate that.
Brandon Coleman, that you saw him at left tackle.
Yep.
You was working inside a guard.
Yes.
What can you see from there that maybe, I know it's a different thing, but does that translate, does what the success you see translate inside at all, and how do you measure that?
It does because of his size. And I think that's what we were looking forward to, John. Got banged up a little bit in camp and then in the early part of the season, but his quickness, and so you see him pull, you can see him trap. He's got quickness like a tackle, but the size and power as a guard. So I know it can transfer inside, but due to injury, that's where the move was made with Chris, and he's continuing to show the flex. It would be much harder for somebody who hasn't had tackle experience to go do this. It happens, but the fact that he can rely on that is better. We've done something unique this year with he and Andrew because both of them have tackle experience. We haven't done the traditional swing tackle where you play left and you play right. They play right guard and right tackle and left guard and left tackle. So his skills have mostly stayed on the left and Andrew's have mostly stayed on the right. Can you guys picture what I'm saying? As opposed to like your traditional swing tackle plays the backup right tackle and the backup left. So I don't think we've had quite maybe a personnel or unique scenario where you can do that, but it's definitely, like you're staying on the same side, working on the same skills. And so there's some advantage to that. And maybe after all these years of 8 linemen, there's a right, a left, a center. And so that's it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.